welcome to Live, Work, and Play, the City of Dalton podcast from the City of Dalton government. This is our third episode, and this week, or this month, I guess, we're having our new mayor-elect, Annalee Sams. First of all, welcome to the show. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bruce. I'm really glad to be here and looking forward to getting back and working with everyone in the new year.
Okay, so we are recording this a few days before Christmas in December. So if you are listening to us in January, by now, Mayor-elect Sams is Mayor Sams. But we are recording this just in the last few days of 2023. We're going to be looking forward to the new year and what is going to be on tap here in the city of Dalton as we move into 2024. Maybe talk about New Year's resolutions if we have time, or just any of that fun stuff. While we are focusing on the beginning of 2024, just a couple of quick announcements. Our city council meetings usually are on the first and third Monday of the month at 6 p.m. Annalee, I would love to see more people come to these meetings and attend, but also if you can't attend in person, we do live stream those on YouTube and Facebook. You can also watch them later on YouTube. So if you want to participate that way, I think that a great resolution for everybody in our community would be to get a little bit more involved with what's going on. But having said that, this month we are going to be meeting on January 8th for the first meeting, and that's when I guess you will have your official swearing in as mayor. And then we also are going to be meeting on Tuesday, January 16th instead of the 15th because city offices will be closed in honor of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Holiday. So those are going to be our meeting dates in January. I do kind of not want to mention why we're meeting on January 8th. Because I don't want to get everybody.
It's upsetting for everyone, and the holidays should be uplifting. So we won't talk about how Georgia's not playing in that little football game on the 8th.
We won't mention the fact that you might have jinxed Georgia a little bit by saying that we should go ahead and schedule the city council meeting because a lot of people might be attending a certain game on New Year's. But that's fine. That's okay. We will move right on past it into a smooth first term as mayor with everybody on your side.
Well, I appreciate that, and hopefully that'll be the one mess up as mayor. I just felt very confident that Georgia, having a fantastic team, was going to come out and be a contender for the January 8th game, and it just seemed to be responsible to plan around that. But we'll just look forward to next season. Well,
you weren't the only one, so we'll move on. Okay, so now we've gotten the announcements out of the way. First of all, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
So just for a second, what is that like to realize you are about to be the mayor of your hometown? This is, where you grew up. You have family roots in Dalton, and your love of Dalton runs deep. And so now to think, I'm about to be the mayor of Dalton, that has to be kind of a neat feeling.
It is a neat feeling. It's not just a love for Dalton, it's an appreciation for Dalton. A friend and I had lunch earlier this week, and she and I were both talking about, until you move away from here for a period of time, do you have the opportunity to really grasp what a great deal Dalton is when you have that contrast of living somewhere else. So if you move away from school for a bit of time or for another job and you come back, the stories of people that are coming back to Dalton of all ages, different circumstances, that's one of the most telling group of people, I think, to talk with, because they share so much about what is better about being in Dalton, and how from financially, how much farther your dollar goes, to what a better and safer experience it is for people's families. So in better access to health care, just in job opportunities, and to a social nightlife that was not here prior to, someone moving away, and they come back and they think, wow, this is just fantastic, everything that we have going on. But my appreciation for Dalton runs very deep. And Mayor Pennington, we had our second meeting of the month. We held it on Tuesday, December 19th, so just a couple of days ago, and we had the opportunity as a community to thank Mayor Pennington for his decade of service. And I don't think some people realize that David Pennington has served our community for much longer than he's just been in office, but he's technically been the mayor three separate times. So as we conclude this decade, people have asked me, has it sunk in that you're going to be the mayor? And sitting there listening to Mayor Pennington, even though his comments were brief, the content was so thoughtful and really, I think, carried a tremendous amount of weight for everyone. And it inspired me, and I know it inspired the professional staff in the room to think about, well, how can you meet his challenge? And his challenge was this. This is an exceptional community. There are very few exceptional communities, but we can do a lot more to improve upon it. So what I think the goal is, very clearly for everyone, is let's make Dalton an exceptional community for years to come. So in order to do that, I think we're going to talk today about some of the projects that we have up and coming, but we're always thinking about asking that question, 2 questions. Is this safe for our community, and does it meet the need of making and keeping us an exceptional community?
And just the way that this community has changed in the last 20 years. I'm not from Dalton. Kate LaSharp and I both on the previous episode of the podcast talked about the fact that we both chose to come here, and we love it here and we don't want to leave.
Right.
And this is my second time living here. I came here to work at the TV station WDNN right after college, moved away, came to some other places, and then came back. And this city gets better and better every year with the changes that are going on downtown and just all those things that are being done to make this community. The title of this podcast is Live, Work, and Play, and that's because Andrew Parker, our city administrator, and really the city staff, we've sort of adopted as the unofficial motto of our workday, let's make this the best place in Georgia to live, work, and play. And that obviously has been something that Mayor Pennington has been focused on in his most recent term. I'm glad you brought him up. I have been so impressed getting to see the leadership that he provided for this city, and just seeing the depth of his knowledge and the depth of his passion for Dalton. I think that I'm glad you brought him up because he will definitely be missed, and you definitely have a tough act to follow because he certainly was an incredible leader for this community.
There's no doubt about it. I was had the privilege to have an opportunity to talk this week with our new Dalton State College president, John Fuco, and I stressed to him that David Pennington is probably the biggest cheerleader Dalton has, and he has a very assertive way of going about making that known. Those are the people that have made Dalton a great place to be. They've made it the great deal that it is. And I know that going forward, we're all going to continue to follow in the footsteps of that passion that Mayor Pennington has had and will continue to have for this community. But I have no doubt that he's going too far away. I think he'll be there to continue to guide us, as will all of our citizens, to continue to encourage us and hold us accountable.
Okay, so I'm going to make you a little uncomfortable now. I know you probably don't love talking about yourself as much as you love talking about the job, but just to give people a little bit of a chance to know you, I'm sure a lot of people in this community already know you, but tell me a little bit about where your interest in public service came from. You obviously were serving as a city council member before you had to step aside because of state law in order to run for mayor. There's a law in the books that says if you're going to be holding an office that coincides with the unexpired term of an office you already hold, you have to step down in order to run for that office. So you served as a city council member and you were active in the community even before you were elected, and now you're going to be serving as mayor. Where was that interest in public service? Where did that come from?
So 6 years ago, or a little bit more than 6 years ago, I had a conversation with several people. This would have been the summer of 2017. That said, I want to participate more, and I shared that statement. That was really how the synopsis of what my desire was to be a part of the city council was I wanted to participate. And that has evolved into I want to advocate for this community and protect the asset that it is. And it is a huge asset to Northwest Georgia. So it really comes from a place of wanting to participate. And as so many people, as they are on boards, as they are involved in their churches and in various components of our community, people quickly elevate from being a participant to being an advocate, to being a protector, and then all of that is a stewardship of this community. And we're so fortunate in Dalton to have so many people that become those advocates and are such great stewards of Dalton.
And not just an elected official, but you are also a business owner here in this community. You operate the hospice care business.
Yes.
And your background, you also served as an EM emergency medical person. So,
yes.
Where does your interest in medicine come from?
Well, I think that medicine is, if you look at Dalton State College, again, what a great asset it is to our community, and you look at Georgia Northwestern Technical programs that they offer, healthcare has become a sector of society that is really a huge economic driver because it's necessary to have the healthcare services if you're going to have a thriving population. We talk about that live, work, play. Well, sometimes we play so hard that we need some healthcare access. And then as we have an aging community, as our country ages and that population grows, there have to be services that are not just sufficient, but superior. And Dalton really does have that through Hamilton Healthcare System. So it was a very inviting sector to be in from an employment standpoint. So I remain a licensed paramedic and enjoyed working in Whitfield and Murray County. And I think that's really how I began to have a perspective of our community, that it's many different walks of life, but we're all here making Dalton the great place that it is to live, work, and play. So in healthcare, it's all about reducing risk. It's all about prevention. And that is so applicable to take that mindset and apply it to city government. It is about protecting the good things you have, being preventative about preventing things from happening that are not great, that could be a threat to this community. But it's more so about having care and just concern for what you're responsible for. And if you're in healthcare, you're responsible for your patients. But the city, we're responsible for the staff that take care of it as elected officials, and to listen to the citizens and understand their concerns so that we can do what we need to do to make Dalton a place that if you grew up here, this is where you want to stay or you want to come back to. And if you're traveling through or you interview for a job, people should just be wowed by the welcome feeling they have when they come to Dalton. And I hope that that's what people feel most of all. If they could cite one thing, excuse me, about what they feel when they're in Dalton, is that they feel welcome.
Absolutely. I bet that your time as a paramedic must have given you a unique perspective on our community. I feel like the people that are first responders get to see every aspect of our community and every group of people that live here. Before I moved over to City Hall, I was the public relations person for the police department. I would ride with our officers. And, there are just so many different, unique groups of people that live here in Dalton. And it's such a diverse community. And to be able to, have all these different groups of people all here together trying to make Dalton the best place is really a beautiful thing.
Oh, it most certainly is. And it doesn't matter what background a person comes from. We all have medical experiences and events the same way. And that's very much akin to what you see as a citizen. Regardless of a person's background, we're all citizens and we all deserve an equal voice. And it's our job as elected officials to make sure we're representing all of Dalton. And I really stress the word all in my campaign because I want to make sure that I am accessible, that City Hall is accessible, and that we are really listening to the entire constituency of Dalton, Georgia.
And as we move into 2024, taking the perspectives of everybody in town, what are some of the things that you are excited about? And maybe what are some of your goals for 2024 for the city of Dalton?
So it's really a continuation. We are on such a good track from our mayor and council, and especially our professional staff. I cannot celebrate enough the accomplishments that our department heads have made come to fruition for us. A couple of years ago, as we were kind of headed into COVID when Mayor Pennington took office, and then as we came out of some of the harder days of COVID, and Dalton being a community that stayed open, and we continued to thrive economically, our floor covering industry, having trouble finding enough workers. It's thriving at such a level of what product volume it's putting out. We really wanted to make sure that as a city that we had a good plan in place. And so for growing, as we've been talking about the growth that Dalton will have and that people want to live here. So we're working on housing and in being in concert with our Believe Greater Dalton initiatives through our Dalton-Whitfield Greater Chamber. And we want to make sure that we're clear communicators as elected officials with our department heads. So we gave some challenges to department heads, and they hit home runs every single time. So really can't celebrate them enough. And one of the most exciting things happening, and I'll talk about stormwater, our Parks and Recreation Department, and our continuation of excellence through our public safety services for police and fire. But we really wanted to work on making sure that our capital projects, which are the buildings and facilities, that we want to have an excellent Parks and Rec from the facilities to the programming. So the growth that we're seeing in redevelopment of the facilities and the growth that you will see in 2024 of youth programming, I think when we sit together in 12 months and talk, we're gonna have a laundry list of things to celebrate.
You know, you mentioned the Parks and Rec projects and the investment in that department. Certainly, we've already seen a lot of that stuff come online with, new soccer facilities because we are Soccer Town USA, and we've got some amazing places for our athletes to play now. If you're listening to us during the month of January, at the end of January is when we are expecting the opening of the Mill Line Trail project, which is going to be fantastic if you want, even if you're not a runner or a bicyclist, if you just want to have a great place to walk and get a little bit of exercise, it's going to be a beautiful place to do that. It's the new trail connection that connects Hag Mill Park with the Eagle Mill, or I guess the Eagle Walk Trail over there on Chattanooga Road. And that's going to be coming online. Obviously, the John Davis Recreation Center is being basically remade anew, and that project is going to be beginning this year. So just a lot of really cool things with the Parks Department. That's such an important department for our city.
I think when I was speaking with a young gentleman that lives in our community this week, and he works as a realtor, and I said, when you're talking to a family that's moving to here, what are the top things that you're asked? And he and I both agreed as we talked is what is a consistent message that you really hear from people that say, these are the deliverables, this is what I have to be in a community, to move here, to stay here, is there has to be excellent employment. In our floor covering industry, you could not ask for a better economic just foundation that has been here, and it's thriving. And for a product to be conceived, designed, and produced in this country is just, it's a huge deal. And we're still doing it, and we're doing it well. We do it responsibly, and that's a huge factor. There have to be a great education component to a community. We have that through our Whitfield County and Dalton Public Schools. And also we have it at a higher education level through Dalton State College. So again, we're checking that box. And we also have through, if a person desires, a private education through Christian Heritage School. So we're checking all of those boxes. Healthcare system, with what Hamilton Healthcare System does for, if you look at the population of this community, it might make one wonder, well, why do we have such a robust health community for a small population? But we serve all of Northwest Georgia at Hamilton Healthcare System and parts of Southeast Tennessee. So that said, what is asked then is, well, what's fun about being in Dalton? And people want the Parks and Rec. They want the programming for their kids. So I'd like to share and remind people that for the first year in April over spring break, we did a summer camp at Dalton Parks and Rec, and it was super awesome. Everyone enjoyed it, and we're going to do more of those type things, hopefully getting into some growing our summer camp programming. So people want to know that it's basically one-stop shopping when you come to Dalton. It's a great deal. You can get everything that you need, and you can do it for in a safe environment. So that's what folks want. So this young man that's a realtor, it's very easy for him to sell Dalton, for people. But Parks and Rec is a huge component of what we need, and we're just making it better.
When I lived here the first time, about 2002, one of the selling points that people talk about Dalton is, oh, well, you're close to Chattanooga, you're close to Atlanta. Now, people don't have to leave town, and I feel like more and more people, I can't remember the last time I left town to go have dinner because we have so many great places to eat here. And what you're talking about with the recreation opportunities and things like that, you have everything that you want here in Dalton and Whitfield County.
And I will show that I do have a sense of humor. You mentioned places to eat. Mayor Pennington did on his watch bring Olive Garden, so it came to fruition. So
they said it couldn't be done.
And there it is. You could go there today and have lunch. Olive Garden, all of these places that are chains, and then the independently owned and operated that are not franchise eateries. Dalton has so many wonderful places to go, and that is what has lessened the burden. And I think financially it's important that people understand that are citizens here and visitors to here. What lessens the property tax burden on the citizens is the revenue that's coming from the sales tax and coming from our big box stores, coming from our mom and pop stores. But that is one of the reasons that Dalton is a great deal.
One of the things that's been most impressive to me over the past couple of years is sometimes when you live somewhere, you see it through your own eyes. And it's interesting when you get a chance to see your home through somebody else's eyes. And when we had the young game changers come in, these are young professionals from all across the state of Georgia, about a third of them from Atlanta, third of them from the rest of the state, and then a third from here in Dalton. They talked about the fact that, gosh, we didn't know all this stuff was here in Dalton. We're going to come back. We're going to come spend a weekend. And I think that sometimes the people that live here have to be reminded, man, what an incredible thing you have here. I grew up in Columbus, Georgia. If I needed to go, or if I wanted rather to go hike in the mountains, I had to drive 2 hours. I can be on a mountain trail in 5 minutes from where I live here. All these wonderful places. And Mexican food. I remember I was on a cruise and we stopped in Mexico, and the people there were telling, oh, you've probably never had food like this. And I was like, I've got better food than this. If I go, just 5 minutes from my house again. And some of the things that people will drive for a weekend trip, we have that here in Dalton. So not only should you be telling your friends to come visit you here, but you also, if you live here, if you're lucky enough to live here, you should be taking advantage of all these things.
Most certainly. And we have to make sure, to that point, Bruce, as we have all the attributes that make Dalton the great deal that it is we cannot become complacent as elected leaders. We have to make sure, and as the professional leadership at the city, is that we have to make sure that every day we're raising the bar a little bit and we're delivering on what's next. And you do that also by really looking at what is a best practice. Our former fire chief, Todd Pangle, who is now our assistant city administrator, talks about there's the standard and then there's Dalton, and we're always above the standard. So that really applies to live, work, play in Parks and Rec, is we've known what the standard is, and we are just elevating ourselves through the leadership of our of Caitlin Sharp, our Parks and Rec director. She's doing a fantastic job, as are all of her staff, and we just want to raise that bar every day in what the services are that we offer. So very excited about the things that will come to fruition in 2024 on the facilities and looking at the growth of the programming. And then later this year, we're going to do this quarterly. We want to hear from our citizens. So we're going to coordinate some opportunities in the calendar that are outside of city council meetings that, yes, I do hope people attend, to come and give us your feedback as parents, as business owners, as visitors. Come and tell us, well, what would you like for us to see? Because we gained so much knowledge from the young game changers being here. We want to keep that going, and we want to make sure that we continue to improve on being above the standard.
That's really cool. And as we move into the new year, I know that you mentioned that you had that feeling, I believe it was 6 or 7 years ago, you said, where you wanted to be more involved. Some other people, as they start looking at their maybe New Year's resolutions or just sort of taking stock of what they want out of 2024, maybe they are also thinking, I want to become involved. And there are a lot of ways that you can become involved with our government, not only attending meetings and not only, like you said, that we're going to have some opportunities for people to make their voices heard quarterly. There are all kinds of, commissions and boards and authorities that sort of oversee the various operations of the city government that people will have the opportunity to serve on going forward. Just how much opportunity is there for the people in the community to help steer the course of our community?
I think we have to realize as citizens, we're consumers. When I go to the grocery store, I'm a customer, and if there's not a product that I want, if I really wanted to make sure I had that product, I would probably go to the sales manager in the store and say, hey, is it possible for you all to get this? We want people to treat the city government that way. Call us up, come by, come to a city council meeting, feel welcome to share during open comments at the beginning of a meeting, or go to a committee meeting. Come to a Parks and Rec meeting, go to a Public Works meeting, and come to a Public Safety Commission meeting and say, hey, there's something that I want you to be aware of that I've seen that another community has, and I want you to get that. So we are here to serve our consumers, and those are our citizens.
And to anybody listening right now, you might be thinking, oh, sure, they don't pay attention to those things. I can promise you they do. There have been countless examples of real action taking place very soon after those meetings. Probably one of the most notable examples, a young man showed up to a city council meeting one day and said, there's not enough stuff for kids my age to do. We would love to have a skate park. And within 6 months, the city of Dalton had created a skate park. So, I'm not sure that every whim can be answered on. If you say you want to have a rocket ship or something like that, you probably can't get that. But I mean, this government is very responsive to the people that want to be heard.
So we do want to listen to our consumers. They're our customer, and we understand that we can lose our customers. So we talk so much about wanting people to come and live with us. We have to make sure that retention is a focus that we have too, on retaining the citizens that we already have and making sure that we're meeting their needs and listening to them. So communication. So by doing this podcast, I think we're taking a step and some ownership of, we're sitting here and I'm saying, hey, I hope people come to meetings, but we kind of have to go to the people also. And this is a way through digital communication that we can do that. And I think that that's really important. So we're going to continue to challenge ourselves as a city government to communicate with our customers, and our consumers, whatever word you want to use. But we are here to serve the citizens of Dalton.
So one area where you are following in Mayor Pinion's footsteps, I know you like to be quick and to the point, and I know we're also recording this before Christmas, so we both have some last minute Christmas stuff we need to take care of. So I'll get you out of here on this. I'll give you a choice. We're going to have a fun question to end it. With Christmas coming up, you can either tell me what was the coolest or best Christmas gift you can remember ever giving, or what is your New Year's resolution for 2024?
Okay, well, can I answer both?
Sure, go for it.
All right. By far, the coolest thing ever was when Nintendo put out a Game Boy.
Oh, so yeah, sure.
I would have to cite that. And by the way, my favorite Nintendo game was Duck Hunt. So
that's
still
such a
is.
great game,
so,
sure.
I think that right there would probably have gotten me elected.
Sure.
Because who doesn't love Duck Hunt? So that's important. But Bruce, my New Year's resolution is to genuinely continue to be focused on making good things happen. And as we go into this year, is to check that box. Are we doing safe things in this community? Are we making this an exceptional community? And we'll add a third to it. Do people feel welcome here? And if we're always able to check those boxes, then just being conscious of that day in, day out at our city government operations, that's the way we're going to continue to lead Dalton in the right direction. So I'm committed to that as a New Year's resolution.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned Nintendo, because right before we started recording the podcast here in the Matt Gaston Community Center podcast lab, this morning I was told that there's also going to be some gaming equipment added to this room soon. So this will be a place where members of the community come in and do some gaming also. So a lot of cool stuff to be looking forward to here in the city of Dalton in 2024.
Most certainly. Just another example of a great deal that Dalton is. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. I'm excited to get started in 2024. And I thank you for the opportunity to come on the show.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening out there. If you like the podcast, please subscribe to it. And we're going to be putting out a lot more great information about the city of Dalton in the year to come.